We should be live.
All right. Welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Bethlehem Zoning Board. My name is Peter Schneck, and I'll be serving as chairman this evening. Serving tonight alongside me is Dr. Paige Van Wert and Sharon Wiles-Young. Our zoning officer tonight is Secretary Dave Taylor. Our solicitor tonight is Attorney Steve Boel, and our stenographer tonight is Moira Evans. First, if anybody is speaking tonight, if you want to stand now, members of the audience, and for all cases.
So if you're testifying on any matter tonight, first one, there's 4 matters being heard. If you think you're going to speak in support of, against, or anything, please stand up and be sworn in.
Raise your right hands, please. You do swear or affirm that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You do so swear or affirm?
Yeah.
All right, the first appeal tonight will be 1327 Catasauqua Road.
1327 Catasauqua Road, the appeal of Angel Ortiz for a special exception to permit a major home occupation, barber, in a single-family semi-detached dwelling. Zoning ordinance sections 1302.58A, 1358B, L, 1322.03Z, 1325.07, and all associated variances, special exceptions, and interpretations.
All right, and when was your property posted?
With the placard,
Yep.
about a week and a half or 2 ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sir, can you bring your microphone a little
Oh,
closer to you?
I'm sorry.
Into it?
sure.
Check that out.
Yes. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can bend it down. There you go.
All right.
There you go. That's better. Thank you.
All right, and at this time, you can proceed with your testimony.
Okay. So today I am requesting zoning relief to allow for the portion of a small barber space for one barber chair within my residence. The
Sir,
barber. Yes.
Now that you're standing, move the mic up with you then. Sorry. There you go.
I'm very nervous.
No, you're doing good. You're doing fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll start again. Okay, today I am requesting zoning relief to allow for the operation of a small barber space for one barber chair within my residence. The barber area would be in a small designated portion of my home and will not alter the residential character of the property or interfere with the nature of the neighborhood, which is very important to me as well. Trash and traffic will be minimal, for I plan to serve one client at a time by appointment only, and ensuring hair clippings will be the only thing disposed of. I will not be providing wet or chemical services. My hours of operation will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. I will be closed Sundays. I have parking for 3 cars, and no structural changes to the property are needed. I will comply with all health, safety, and licensing regulations applicable to the home-based business and personal services. I truly appreciate your consideration of this request, and I am happy to provide any additional information or answer any questions the board may have.
Sir, to be fair, you can grab a seat, actually. Please feel free to sit down. Bend the mic back down.
Okay.
Yeah, we want you to be comfortable. So, Mr. Ortiz, first off, thanks a lot. We appreciate that testimony. I'm going to walk you through a few of the requirements of the ordinance with regard to the proposed home occupation. So when I ask you these questions, just answer them as we do them one by one. So the first one is that your barber shop must be in the main building on the lot, and that it will not use an area greater than 25% of the habitable floor area. Is that correct?
Yes.
And to the extent that the building is shown up on the screen right now, is that the home?
Yes, to the left, a double.
It's half that double. Which one is it, the right or the left?
It's the left.
The left, where
that
it's
one.
being indicated right now. So that's where it's going to be. It's going to be only in that building right there,
Yes.
less than 25%.
Yes.
Good. So you said that the residential character of the building will be preserved. You're not doing anything to the outside of the building?
No.
Good. You're going to be the only employee?
Yes.
Are you going to do any signage on the house?
Signage?
Sign, like a barber shop sign, a pole?
Very small, nothing big. Probably on the actual window.
Okay, so you understand that that signage may require other permits from the city and that will not be authorized tonight. So
Okay.
if you want to do a sign, you have to come back to the zoning officer and the city staff with regard to that.
Okay. Even though it's like those sticky things on the window.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
He'll talk to you about that. The zoning hearing board can't do
Sounds
anything.
good.
They just need to hear what you have. But what you're saying is that if you do have signage, it will comply with the ordinance. It'll be very minimal inside the window.
Yes.
So it is your opinion that the barber shop is the type of use that would be customarily associated with a house, correct? That it goes well with the house.
Yes.
Will it be by appointment only?
Yes.
And you're not going to do any retail sales.
No.
You're not going to sell any goods, anything like that.
No.
You talked about earlier that you're going to have the minimum storage of supplies on the property, correct? You're not going to have a lot of inventory. You're just going to have the equipment that you're using.
Just what I'm using. Yes.
And that you said earlier, you're not going to use any biological hazardous, no materials like that.
No
Just
chemicals.
regular hair products.
Yes.
Are you going to have any deliveries to the property?
Yeah, small deliveries.
Amazon truck type stuff?
Amazon trucks. Yes. For
no
barber
truck-
supplies.
Good. No tractor trailers, nothing like
No.
that. It's your opinion that this use is not going to generate any obnoxious noise, odor, vibration, glare, electrical interference.
No.
Your barber shop.
Yeah. No.
You mentioned the hours of operation before, and what the ordinance says is that it can only be perceptible to the general public between it cannot be perceptible to the general public between 9 p.m. and 7:30. Your hours were what? You said them.
Oh, Saturday I do have it for 7 a.m., but I could change that 7 a.m. to 2. But from Monday through Friday, it's 8 a.m. to 4.
Yeah, that's fine. So
Okay.
after 7:30 a.m. would be compliant with the ordinance. You said that no resident employee, and that is all I have, Mr. Chair.
At this time, I'll open it up for questions from the board.
And it looks like for the appointments, you have parking out front as well as a driveway, right?
Parking out front, I do have the driveway only.
Only? Okay.
Yes.
You can't park along. Okay.
Yeah, no.
And currently, right now, you have trash pickup contracted
Yes.
on a weekly basis.
Included with my mortgage that I paid monthly. Yes. Yes.
All right. Anybody from the audience?
Just one follow-up question based off some of that. A very good question. So, sir, am I correct that your driveway fits 3 cars? Is that right? And for the board's benefit, 3 would be the required number. So he's compliant with the off-street parking.
Great.
All right. I think at this time we'll go off the record and we'll
You want to?
All right. I'd like to go back on the record. And can I have a motion from a member of the board?
Sure. I making a motion to approve the appeal.
Second.
Mr. Schneck,
Yes.
Dr. Van Wert,
Yes.
Ms. Wiles Young,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
All right. All right. The second appeal tonight will be 729 Mount Airy Avenue.
729 Mount Airy Avenue, the appeal of Older Menio Living Trust for an interpretation that zoning ordinance section 1318.03 regarding lot width is not applicable to the proposed minor subdivision and proposed construction of a single-family detached dwelling. In the alternative, applicant requests a variance from the requirements of section 1318.03, which mandates no principal building shall be erected on any part of a lot which has a width of less than is required. Sections 1318.03, 1325.05, 1325.06, and all associated variances, special exceptions, and interpretations.
So we're going to say this. Everyone's allowed to sit down during the presentations.
Good evening, everyone. Anthony Giovannini from the Office of Brocco and DeVito here on behalf of the applicant, the Walter Menio Trust. I have exhibit packets for you to limit getting up and going back.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.
So Anthony has one housekeeping item. I'm going to mark the zoning hearing board application and the attachments to that document in the board packet that the board has here as ZHB 1. Is that acceptable?
That's acceptable.
Thank you. Good. All right, floor is yours. Floor is yours, counsel.
Okay, Mr. Borda, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Lawrence A. Borda, Borda.
Are you familiar with the property located at 729 Mount Airy Avenue, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, 18018?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, Larry, item number 1 in the exhibit packet, I'm going to be marking that as exhibit 1. Would you identify for the board what this is? And just for the board's edification, that is the first item in the packet.
I believe it is the quitclaim deed, which was exercised to transfer the ownership of the property from Walter Minio to the trust,
And who is the current owner of the property?
the Michael Minio Trust.
Is this a fair and accurate photocopy representation of the deed to the subject property?
Subject to my beleaguered eyesight, yes.
How are you familiar with the Walter Menio Living Trust?
My uncle, before his death approximately 12 years ago, wanted to make allowances is not the right word, but his son Michael is on Social Security disability. He has mental issues, been diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic, and he wanted to set up something so that after his death, Michael would be taken care of. He asked me if I would do it at the dinner table over Easter, and I wasn't quite sure what I was getting into, which was a lot. but I agreed to serve as the trustee in the event of his death, which occurred in 2012.
And at that time, did you become successor trustee?
I did by virtue of the trust agreement.
So I'm going to hand to you what I'm marking as Exhibit 2, and for the board, that is item number 2 in the exhibit packet. Would you identify for the board what this document is?
That is a trust agreement that was executed in April of 2000 by Walter Minio.
And page 10, Article 11, does that specifically identify you where you are named as successor trustee?
Yes, it says the grantor appoints himself as a trustee hereunder. The grantor hereby appoints Lawrence A. Borda, having an address at 508 Heritage Oak Drive, Yardley, PA, as the successor trustee hereinafter in the event of the death of the grantor or his physical or mental incapacity.
And you are Lawrence A. Borda.
I am.
Mr. Borda, who currently resides at the property?
Michael Minio, Walter's son.
So as a preliminary matter, what is the trust looking to do with the property?
What we hope to do is to subdivide the lot to allow for the construction of a home. We have a wonderful lady friend of named Sunny, whose last name escapes me. It's Greek. But she's just really been wonderful with Mike, has spent a lot of time with him. He needs that level of support. And the plan is for the lot to be transferred to her so that she can build a house adjacent to Michael's.
Is it fair to say that the individual you named as Sonny is Michael's caretaker?
I would say that's accurate.
And is there an agreement of sale for the subdivided portion of the property?
There is.
So Larry, I'm going to hand to you what I'm marking as Exhibit 3, and for the board, that is document number 3 in the exhibit packet. Would you identify for the board what this document is?
This is the sales agreement that between the trust and Sunny for the sale of the lot, subject to the approval of any zoning that might be required.
Now, is this agreement of sale a fair and accurate representation of the agreement for the sale of the proposed subdivision?
Yes.
I have no further questions of Mr. Borda.
Does anyone have questions?
Anthony, for the board's benefit, before they ask questions, what other witnesses will you have, if any?
I have one other witness. It is the surveyor involved with the drafting of the proposed subdivision plans.
So if the board has questions about the plan, the survey, or the dimensions.
Correct. We're going to get into that shortly.
I think we're okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I'd like to call Mr. Michael Mattis. Mr. Mattis, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Michael Mattis, Madtes.
And Mr. Mattis, what do you do for a living?
Surveying and construction.
Are you familiar with the property located at 729 Mount Airy Avenue, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, 18018?
Yes, I am.
How are you familiar with this property?
Field survey, complete topo and as-built and existing features.
So you were engaged to undertake work at the subject property?
Yes,
And given your familiarity with you just listed, that was what you were contracted for to undertake?
yes.
After a survey was drafted, was there any submissions to the city of Bethlehem?
Yes.
And what was that submission?
Sketch plan.
Okay. I'm going to hand to you what I am marking as Exhibit 4. And for the board, this is document number 4 within your exhibit packet. Mike, would you identify for the board what this document is?
Yeah, it's a complete survey of the aforementioned property.
Is this, based on your recollection, is this a sketch plan that was submitted to the city of Bethlehem?
Yes.
Could you identify who is Hops or Hoppies?
He's the surveyor engineer that I work with.
So you have a business relationship with this entity
Yes.
and you work hand in hand?
Yes.
Now, this sketch plan, is this a fair and accurate photocopy representation of the sketch plan submitted to the city of Bethlehem?
Yes.
Why was the sketch plan originally submitted?
For Sunny for a possible minor subdivision.
And were you seeking feedback and comments from the city relative to the proposed subdivision?
Yes.
Do you recall whether or not the city of Bethlehem issued a review letter based on this sketch?
Yes.
So I'm going to hand to you what I'm marking as Exhibit 5, and for the board, that is document number 5 within the exhibit packet. Would you identify for the board what this document is?
A review letter from the city and comments.
Now, aside from the comments in the letter, does this review letter give any indication zoning relief was required for the subdivision?
No, not at that time.
And is it your understanding, given your knowledge of the industry, that the other review letter comments are common or basic and similar to a typical subdivision?
Yes.
Now, after receiving this review letter, were the comments initiated into a final minor subdivision plan?
Yes.
So, Mike, I'm going to hand to you here what I'm marking as Exhibit 6, and for the board, that is document number 6 that is within the exhibit packet. Would you identify for the board what this item is?
That's the actual minor subdivision plan that was submitted.
And to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief, does this plan integrate the comments that were in the sketch plan review letter?
Yes.
And this was submitted to the city of Bethlehem and LVPC?
Yes.
Was this minor subdivision plan approved?
No.
And is this plan a fair and accurate photocopy representation of the minor subdivision plan that was submitted to the city?
Yes.
So I want to hand you one final exhibit. I'm going to mark it as Exhibit 7. And for the board, that is the last document, item number 7 within the packet. Would you identify for the court what this document is? Or I'm sorry, for the board what this document is?
The final review letter dated January 16th.
And
5.
would you kindly read into the record in its entirety, comment number 2 under the header zoning?
Placement of the proposed principal single-family detached dwelling does not meet the requirements of section 1318-03. Minimum lot width, where a minimum lot width is specified, no principal building shall be erected on any part of the lot which has a width of less than is required, except that a lawful existing lot with a non-conforming lot width may be developed with one principal use and its allowed accessory uses.
Do you understand what this comment means?
Yes.
Can you explain what your understanding is of this comment?
As of this comment, we're now deficient in our width.
Now, the sketch plan proposed a single family dwelling on the proposed lot, correct?
Yes.
And the sketch plan review letter did not have this specific comment on it, correct?
Correct.
Is it true that the sketch plan was submitted to receive such comments so they could be acted upon at a preliminary stage?
Yes.
Do you believe a misrepresentation was made?
I would say so, yes.
Would you agree with me that if a sketch plan is submitted and comments are received, there's a reasonable expectation on reliance to those comments?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that the property owner justifiably relied on the contents of the sketch plan review to have the final subdivision plan drafted?
Yes.
Do you believe that there is a detriment to the reliance by now having to seek zoning relief as well as further expenditure of funds on the project?
Yes.
Now, based on your professional opinion, will proposed minor subdivision affect the individual property rights of the neighborhood, of the
No,
neighbors in the neighborhood?
no.
Okay. And do you know what zoning district this property is located in?
I don't recall, but it's high density
Okay.
something.
So, Mr. Mattis, I want to speak to the property. Do you know what the minimum width of the property in the high-density RT residential district is?
40 feet.
And does the plan comply in any way with that requirement?
Now it does as far as frontage.
Could you identify where the deficiency lies, if any?
It would be the north property line, affecting the setback.
Does the plan meet all other setbacks?
Yes.
Now, are there any unique physical characteristics of this property in terms of lot size or anything similar?
No, it's rather large, other than the
No.
jog in the back.
Now, I'm going to make reference to the proposed subdivision lot. Are there any unique characteristics of that?
No.
Now, I want to follow up on that. Now, given the shape and size of the proposed subdivided lot, are there any peculiarities with that? With
Other than the jog we made in the front to accommodate the 40 feet to get the frontage, and then we jogged it 4 feet to the south, back to 36 feet.
So in order to meet all the setbacks, is there any way in which the property can be developed in any other way?
No.
In your professional opinion, if a variance is authorized, will it alter the essential character of the neighborhood?
No.
And that being a neighborhood in the high-density residential district?
Yes.
And is this the minimum variance that will afford the applicant relief?
Yes.
And just for clarification purposes, we've identified the 40-foot lot width in the front. What you made mention of this jut here. What is the dimension of that?
10 foot off the right of way. It jogs 4 feet to the south.
So why is the lot not 40 feet wide along the northern property line?
So we don't encroach on the existing house's covered porch.
And what is the relief necessary from the 40-foot lot width?
4 feet.
4 feet. Okay, I have no further questions of Mr. Mattis.
I think, to be fair, you were gesturing to the plan as you were
Yes,
doing that.
Yes.
And I think it'd be helpful for the board.
So
Yeah, 'cause
when
I-
I
yeah.
make reference to the northern property line, when you look at the proposed single-family dwelling, the dashed line immediately above the proposed single-family dwelling carve-out, that is the proposed property line, which meets the setbacks. That line represents the northern boundary, and that is where the lot width is calculated in that section of the property. It is 4 feet short of the 40 feet required. So that is the area in which we are seeking a variance.
At the end of the mic, you would mind. Yeah.
That is the area of requested relief that we are seeking in the alternative.
So along Mount Airy Lane, The black line there, that's the front lot line,
That's
correct?
the front lot line at 40 feet, which
40 and
meets,
50.
which
So,
meets
so
the variance.
along the front lot line, it is 40 and then 50,
Mhm.
if I'm looking at it correctly. And the jut you're talking about is where it goes back into the property for, I believe you said 10 feet. Is that right?
4 feet.
4 feet. Sorry, 4 feet. And then that's the jut you're talking about is goes in 4 feet. And then that's the balance of the property.
Correct. And that jut out is what triggered the review letter comment for the final minor subdivision plan with respect to lot width.
Sorry, Peter. Didn't mean to-
So I just want to respectfully request redirect if applicable.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna interrupt. Anthony, you're done with your direct, I guess is the question.
Yes, no further questions of Mr. Mattis.
No questions to the board.
Questions from the board?
No. So with the 40 feet back, then it looks like from your drawings that the property of both buildings line up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Both houses, the front on Mount Airy Avenue are equal.
Yes. Yeah, the same. They'll be parallel to each other.
Was there any, I mean, you've probably looked at this longer than I have, but was there any configuration in which you know, jutted it back up after you got beyond the existing residence and pushed the single family dwelling back so it would be within the 40-foot?
Well, no matter what we do, we're not getting the setback from that covered porch. So the covered porch on the existing house is dictating 4 feet over where the line's going, and that's why we have a 40-foot extension in the front, coming back to the west 10 feet, and then coming back to the south 4 feet to give the proper setbacks onto the existing house and not cut it short.
But if you, and maybe Mr. Taylor can weigh in on what that sentence is. If you got beyond the existing residence and jutted the property line back up north, so it's 40 feet further to the, I guess, plan west, could you slide the whole proposed single family back so it's in a 40-foot dimension?
You want me to take it?
Yeah,
I mean, you can put the house anywhere within the setbacks once the lots, but that has nothing to do with our encroachment on the existing covered porch. So to maintain zoning, existing zoning on that existing covered porch, we have the line set at 4 feet. So that setback's maintained.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think what Mr. Schneck's asking is if you can bring this line forward and slide the dwelling backwards so that you create.
Something like that. That is
wider-
another way to do it. Or I was saying if you've jutted the line plan south, if you carry that beyond the existing house and then jut it back up north 4 feet, you have a 40-foot width property again. And the way that I'm reading that, you can put the proposed single family house in there. It's just that the property line zigzags.
Yeah, you could do that, but then that lot one would be non-conforming because the property line would be right on the porch wall.
Along the porch, you would keep the lot line how you have it shown.
So Pete, I'm not sure they're following, and I hear what you're saying. So the lot line that says 26 feet, that back lot line right there, where it juts, what direction is that? Whatever that is.
It goes north. It goes north to
Where it goes
south.
north, where you can gesture on the plan, moving that to the right on the plan, back over to where it says lot 1, number 729.
Right.
Move it up right there. make that the lot line and move the building back so that it would be at 40-foot width further back on the property.
Yeah, we're still not dealing with the existing proposed new property line. Because if we throw that new property line on 40 feet to be compliant, we're on the covered porch, and now that lot's not complying with setback.
But it would be 40 foot, I think your point, Pete, it could be 40 foot back where you're building.
So you're not moving this line at all. This line's staying here 4 feet from the porch. You're just bringing this line forward.
I mean, we could look at that, but again, that's not going to help us too much with the setbacks. And again, that would be up to the client. Yeah, to maintain zoning on the existing residence, that line to the south has to be as it's shown, or that lot wouldn't be in compliance.
Sorry.
As to what? As to what relief?
Setbacks,
Side yard, front?
side yard.
A side yard setback. So you're saying,
We're maintaining 4 feet off the existing covered porch to keep that lot in compliance.
so what I'm going to do is we're going to mark a new exhibit. I'm going to take the plan out of my packet and we're going to mark on the plan what we're talking about. And I want to, because we keep going back to that one lot line, that side lot line, that new line. And I think what Mr. Schneck is saying is he does not want to interfere with the location of that line. It's simply sliding. So let me pull out a plan. I have an extra, and then we will mark it.
You have to check with the client if they want to issue it.
Sorry, give me a sec.
Even if you shift this up, you're still not 40 feet across.
Can we take yours?
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest thing to do. Yeah, and then mark, you know, no, that's that one.
That's up to you.
I mean, what you guys were saying,
That's so
like, I was just saying, pop it back up here.
You're saying
But,
let
like,
it there.
you could
You're saying
slide
let
this
it,
line,
they're
which
saying
is
let it
yeah.
where it is.
So what we're gonna
It's
do, we're gonna
on
mark
the
it. We're gonna
proposed
right
house.
here.
You can build whatever you want to build
Four
within setbacks,
foot.
as long as you're compliant.
You still don't have a 40. And then go boom, boom, boom.
Shift this up. That's what I'm
That
saying.
Well, then that'll
part of
that'll
that.
make this
Yep. And then you would want to
Won't
move the
be-
house.
Back that way.
according to zone.
I could rotate the house.
It's still.
So Anthony,
Yes.
I'm sorry, if you guys, we're going to walk through it. So, here, why don't you come up here? And we're just going to do it, and then you can go back there and testify there. So we marked on here, you see the side lot line? So keep that in place. This is the existing back lot line. We're saying move that way, move the X property into the new lot and slide the building back. So this is the proposed lot. Add that into the X, and I'm going to mark this as ZHB2. That would stay exactly how it is.
That would maintain on the original track.
No, it would still be a new lot. The house would just sit further back on the lot.
But you still, if this is part of the new subdivision, you still have the issue here where you're not at 40 foot width.
So it just says
Hold
that
on.
you
I don't
can't
know.
build.
I'm okay. 'cause he's supposed to-
This is, it says you can't build on the lot where it's less than the required.
He's saying, what I think Mr. Schneck is suggesting, I mean, the other board members can speak for themselves, is try and create a portion of the lot that is 40 foot and build where it is 40 foot by moving the house back off the street.
Is that how that word-
That is how it was interpreted. It was, yes, reviewed. The restriction's not applicable to the entire lot. It's just applicable to where the principal dwelling is, or the principal building.
So what is the parking going to be like proposed for the new one? Because that, if it's using the existing 2-car garage.
That's a great question. Let's let, Anthony, how about you take that? We're going to need that back. And then Dr. Van Wert, that's a great question. We can ask that question then. And by the way, I didn't mean to hog. I mean, I think you would get what we're saying. If
Yeah,
you wanna-
yeah, we get.
So that's the Dr. Van Wert. Anthony,
Yes.
take your time. I'm understanding that right now. We'll go off the record for a few minutes.
Thank you.
And then, sorry, that way you don't. So for everyone's benefit in the audience and for the board as well, what's going to happen is the applicant for the second matter for 729 Mount Airy Avenue, they're currently conferring in the hallway. They're going to remain in recess as of that matter, but Attorney Preston is going to present the evidence as the matter number 3, 932 Mary Street. So we should proceed with that hearing.
All right. Next hearing, as Attorney Boel already stated, is hold on. 1932 Mary Street.
1932 Mary Street. The appeal of James Preston on behalf of Bethlehem Portfolios LLC for variances to increase the already non-conforming density of an existing multifamily dwelling. Lot area per dwelling unit, 2,500 square feet required, 1,799 square feet existing, 1,724 square feet proposed, and to reduce the already non-conforming parking per dwelling unit ratio. Parking space per dwelling unit, 1.5 required, 1.48 as currently existing, 1.46 proposed. Zoning ordinance sections 1306-01A4, 1319-01A1II, 1325.06, and all associated variances, special exceptions, and interpretations.
Yeah. You can have the original.
You're on.
Just wait for Mr. Boel to.
Oh, I know. I was
I'm
confused.
sorry.
Your spiel about posting. I'm sorry.
Oh. When was the property posted?
June 3rd,
All right.
last Tuesday.
You can proceed with your testimony.
Okay, thank you, and good evening. For the record, my name is Jim Preston. I'm the attorney for the applicant. Seated to my right is Dwayne Wagner. He is associated with the owner of the property. What you have here, it's an existing apartment building, and there's 23, currently 23 units available for rent in the apartment building. There's actually a 24th unit that was never opened up as a unit. They want to open that up as a unit, and apparently they need zoning relief to do that. What I'm going to do is hand out these exhibits. They've all been pre-marked. It should help us move through this.
And Jim, the board's going to mark as typical of the application and the supporting materials attached to the application as ZHB1.
That's ZHB1, okay.
ZHB1.
Then I'll mark this. I can mark this collectively as A1 because it has an instruction sheet on the front. It sort of identifies these exhibits.
Yep. So we'll mark it as Exhibit A1 collectively.
Sure. Okay, Dwayne, you heard the opening. Is that correct? That was stated.
Yes.
Now, please identify yourself.
My name is Dwayne Wagner. I'm here as a representative of Bethlehem Portfolio LLC.
And that's the owner of the subject property.
Yes.
And would you describe the subject property, please?
It's a approximately 24,000 square foot building, 2 stories, multifamily apartment building with parking off street along Mary Street, just off of Stefco Boulevard. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments.
Are you the builder of this facility?
No, it was acquired as a completed building,
And when was that?
January of 2024.
2024. You have any idea how old the building might be?
I believe it was built in 1975, around
Okay.
there, circa.
And let's do this. You have a copy of the exhibits, do you not?
Yes.
Let's go through for the board and try to explain exactly what's happening here.
Sure.
So if I go to photo 1 on the cover, it says photos of the existing building exterior and hallway showing no difference between unfinished unit and all other units. So if I turn the page, I see 1.1. What are you trying to show there?
This is a photo of the main entrance. Shows the existing vegetation. You see some of the balconies. The balconies are noted with sort of that cross-hatched block fence wall that's on there with the sliding doors.
Okay, 1.2.
1.2 is an elevated aerial, similar view. If you notice, there's a sliding door sort of in the middle of the photo. That's the subject unit
Okay.
from the exterior.
Okay, let's go to 1.3. What am I looking at here?
This is the same thing. This, at the bottom of this page in the middle is the main entrance into the building. Above it is the subject unit. And immediately to the left or right of it, you'll see other units that have sliding doors or windows and the same type of balcony. So it's
Indistinguishable. Is that what we're
Yes,
saying? Okay.
yes.
1.4.
Same thing. This is just a more straight-on view of the unit. Again, nothing changes on the exterior of the
Sure.
building.
And 1.5.
Just a picture of the subject unit on the right with its adjacent property or adjacent unit on the left.
1.6.
The same thing here. The subject unit is on the left with other units on the right.
Just above the entrance. Is that correct?
Correct. It's the one above the entrance.
Okay, let's go to 1.7. Now we're getting a different view. What are we looking
Yeah,
at
this
here?
is the hallway. The entrance to this unit is immediately on the right, the dark blue door, and you can see it's consistent with. There's no distinguish of this unit from anything else in the hallway of the interior.
So the unit that we're talking about is consistent with all the other units. Is that in terms of its dimensions and
It is.
treatments, exterior treatments?
Exterior access, interior access, exterior amenities, exterior design, all consistent.
Okay, well, let's keep going. We'll get to that in a second. Now, what's 2.1? What are we looking at here?
2.1 is a current, apologize for the material stored in there, but it's what it's being used for right now. It's just a storage area, but this is the interior photo of the unit. And you can see the sliding door that leads out to the balcony. You can see the railing out there. To the right of that is an area where a closet would be. And then along the wall towards the right side, you see a doorway. That doorway is where the bathroom would go. So this would be essentially a studio or efficiency apartment.
And but for the fact that there appears to be, looks to be like junk, might not be, but a lot of junk around there, that this could be one of the units
Correct.
dimensioned as the other units.
Similar, yes.
2.2, what are we looking at here?
2.2 is the opposite view. The now behind you is the sliding door. Now you're looking at the open door would go into the bathroom, and then the door that is closed is the exterior door we saw in the prior picture from the hallway. And then that rear wall is where your kitchen would be located.
2.3, let's keep going.
2.3 is the inside, more storage area, but this is where the bathroom would go. Typical size for a one unit bathroom.
Consistent with the other units.
Yes.
2.4.
This is the exterior picture from the inside of the balcony. You can see it's all consistent with the exterior. This is just an opposite view from the one shown in Exhibit 1.
Okay, let's jump over to 3 now. 3 is kind of interesting. What am I looking at?
Yeah,
here?
this is a historic artifact from the prior owners that this room was always used as a tenant recreation.
It says tenants only.
Yeah,
You
tenants
consider
only.
it?
Yep, this
So-
room is used for tenant recreation and tenants only. Also be considered to all other tenants and keep noise to the minimum.
So that's on the door that leads into this particular unit.
This is on the door inside where the bathroom would be. It's the bathroom door. So when that door is closed, because use it for storage, that would be a notice posted inside that room.
Inside the room, I see. And so the tenant recreation area room looks like we've already seen. A lot of
It's-
stuff scattered around. So look like you want to recreate in there?
Not me.
Okay. 4, interior photos, finished unit. I think where we're trying to go here now is to give the board a sense of the fact that the unfinished unit is pretty much identical to the finished units. So go ahead. Let's take a look at 4.1.
Yeah, so here you have a photo of an interior finished unit in the same building. This is on the first floor, so it has 2 windows looking out rather than the sliding door, but it's of similar size. And here you've got a closet on the left.
But you had to find one that was
It's unoccupied right now.
Okay, yeah, you're not doing
everything
like
else. It's
trying to fool
it's
anybody.
no. In the next week or 2, it'll be occupied. Correct. And then on the right, you'll see an open door. That's the bathroom. This is a little opposite. So you have the closet on the left, and then you have the bathroom that comes out into the room here. The one that is the subject unit has the bathroom is outside of the unit, so to speak. It's not an innie, it's an outie, not an innie, if you will.
Got it.
For the
Makes sense. 4.2.
4.2, that's what I was referring
see
to.
the
here. You
innies,
see
yeah.
the innie bathroom, and just shows you it's just the size of the room.
4.3.
4.3 is what the inside of the bathroom looks like. So you got a shower, tub, toilet, sink, everything you'd need.
Okay, now That's 4.3. Let's hold off a second now before we get into 5.1, because I think that gets into actually the merits of the case more. So we need two types of zoning relief, is that correct?
Yes.
And what would those be? One has to do with density, is that, or number of units per square foot? What
Correct.
are we looking at
It
there?
would be a density variance. It's an existing non-conforming use. Right now, the density is approximately 1,799 square feet per unit.
Which is, okay, let me slow you down. So it's 1,799 square feet per unit.
Yes,
That's for the 23 units.
correct,
Okay, and that's not up to code.
correct,
That's deficient.
correct.
Okay, go ahead.
And if we add one unit, then the density would go to 1,724 square feet, reduction of about, a variance of about 75 square feet from the existing.
Okay, and the other area where we need relief has to do with parking, is that correct?
That's correct.
And why don't you tell us what's going on with that?
So right now, it's required to have 1.5 parking spaces per unit. As it exists today, there's 1.48, so it doesn't meet the existing condition doesn't meet.
It's
the code.
deficient
It's
in terms
deficient,
of required parking?
yes.
Okay,
And
go
if we were to add 1.5 spaces to that deficiency,
so just to follow the dots, you would need to add the 1.5 to accommodate
the
this new
extra unit,
Go ahead.
correct? And that would get us to a 1.42 parking spaces per unit, which is an increase of the deficiency by 0.06 spaces, if I'm saying
Yeah,
that
that's
correctly.
an increase in the deficiency.
Increase of the deficiency.
That's technically not two negatives, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Okay, very good.
Close.
So with that in mind, let's move to number 5, which is, I think we're trying to allay any fears that the parking is somehow a problem at this site. So let's take a look at 5.1. First of all, what are we looking at?
This is an aerial view, an aerial photograph I took Sunday afternoon, showing basically the whole property. The outline of the building is the white roof, and it shows the parking spaces on site.
Okay, and when was this? What time of day?
This is about a little before 1 p.m. on Sunday. So I
Okay.
figured that would be a day when most people would be home versus a middle of work day or Sunday morning if people are out, or
Okay.
Saturday morning.
So is this Mary Street?
Mary Street, it
Along
runs
the
along the
bottom?
bottom of the
I have
page.
2 driveway entrances.
Yes,
Once I cross over those driveway entrances, all that parking in the area in there belongs to that use?
yes,
So those empty spaces that we can see in there are spaces dedicated to that use, which are not being used
correct.
on a Sunday at 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Let's keep going. What do we got at 5.2?
5.2 is just a ground level view showing the spaces that are open. The property has some very nice older trees, so you might not be able to see some of them from the aerial, but this just gives you a ground view to show the available parking on the site.
5.3?
5.3 is the same thing on the other side as you're coming out the south entrance on Mary Street. Shows a few spaces there.
Same time of day, these are all?
These are all same time of day, Sunday afternoon. I took the photographs, and then this is from Mary Street looking in again, just showing some of the available parking.
5.4 is?
5.4 is available
Yep.
parking, taken from Mary Street of the sidewalk.
Okay, now I see, it looks like we're going to do this again, 6.1. Why are we doing this again?
Just to be, not trying to skew the information, I took a Sunday afternoon, and then I also took a Tuesday evening after the workday. I didn't want to be there at noon on a workday because I think that could give a different view. This was taken around 6:45 p.m. on Tuesday. Same thing, aerial view.
Sure, let's just flip through them. I
Yep.
think the board's getting the idea.
Yeah, you got-
6.2?
It shows this a similar condition to Sunday afternoon,
Mhm.
where there's available parking on site. And this is this one 6.4 is a view. There's still additional parking coming off of Mary Street, and 6.5 shows the on-street parking availability Sunday afternoon and Tuesday evening. That there's parking available along Mary Street as well.
So in 6.5, we're looking at your property frontage?
Yeah, that's the frontage along Mary Street, and that is available parking there.
Okay, that's not a no parking zone. That's, okay, very good. And then finally, we have exhibit number 7, which is an aerial photo of the surrounding neighborhood. Just briefly, how would you describe the neighborhood?
I think to the east and north, it's on the edge of a residential neighborhood, and it's half a block off of where the Valley Farm Market is, or Fresh Grocer. I still don't call it that. The strip center along Stefco Boulevard. So you're literally 100 feet off of Stefco Boulevard. at the edge of where it gets to be more residential going out towards Easton Avenue.
Okay, and do you anticipate if the board were to grant the requested relief, any problems with parking?
I do not.
Do you anticipate any problems in terms of unit density?
I do not.
And in fact, nothing's really going to change, at least to an
From the
uneducated observer, they wouldn't know that anything had changed.
right, other than a little bit of construction inside the building, there'd be no construction on the exterior needed. The balcony's already there. Everything, it would be unnoticeable from the outside.
Okay, and it would provide an additional living unit.
It would provide an additional living unit. It would be a studio apartment, which would be at the lower end of current market rates, probably in the $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 range. And everybody understands that if we can get another unit in that price range for that type of use, I think it's a benefit to the community.
Okay, very good. I have no further questions.
Open it up for questions.
Yeah, I have a question. I noticed that you said there's not any difference in the exterior, but in the storage unit or the new apartment, there's not an air conditioner on that balcony there. So is that going to be taken into consideration?
Yeah, we would either do, if you look at 1.1, photo 1.1 on the left side, there's a through the wall unit.
Yeah.
That's an older style, so we would do something maybe like that, or we could do a lower, it's called a PTAC, which is a through the wall, so almost like you see in a hotel, a smaller unit, because it's a small enough unit that you don't need a large HVAC system. You can address the heating and cooling with a single unit, kind of like you would use for a sunroom or something.
Okay, great. So from your photos, I can see that there doesn't seem like there's parking problems, but I was wondering, have the tenants, I mean, I see the statistics here but in general, there's been no problem with.
No, there's been no issues as far as since we've owned it, and I don't think prior to that there have been either. It's worked out well.
Was there any, it looks like you might have area to put in extra parking. Was there any consideration about it?
Yeah, our preference is to not take away green space or grass if we could avoid it. So I think clearly there's room on the lot for that, but considering it's a very small adjustment of 0.06 spaces, we requested that rather than affecting any of the grass and lawn that's there now.
Is there any other common space in this?
No, it's not. It's not the type of facility where you see that. We're seeing less and less of that. You used to see where if you moved into an apartment complex, people expected a pool, they expect a patio, an outdoor type of thing, and that just seems to be it's shifting. I'm not seeing that as much. So
right now, is it common space, or I would imagine there'd probably be some safety or security concerns if that were the case?
It is not a common space. It's used as a maintenance, like not maintenance, but a storage sort of no man's land.
Yeah, that sign is on the interior. You wouldn't
Yeah.
see that sign unless
Yeah.
you got in there. They're not allowed in there. And I think if you can tell from the pictures, I don't think they'd want to be in there.
And that sign, it was also from two owners prior to us.
Okay.
So it's probably, I'd say it's probably at least 10, probably close to 10 years old. But that room, it has not been used for any recreating in a very long time.
But the current storage is for the landlord's stuff.
Yeah,
equipment
but
and
it's one of
materials.
those that that's all it's been used. It's until we have the ability to convert it into a unit, there's nothing.
So the tenants currently do not have access.
No, there's no access, and there's been no demand, request, or requirement for it from the tenants.
They wouldn't know that that's anything other than a unit.
No, the people that have been living there wouldn't have known it as anything but a door that they don't open.
Just a random question.
These are dangerous.
I'll do my best.
I'd imagine all your rooms are in numbered sequentially. How's it gonna wind up?
Harry Potter.
That would be a B, an A or a B after the unit number.
All right.
Or a half. We might do a half.
All right.
221B Baker Street type of thing, maybe?
9 3/4.
There you-
I was doing the same thing.
Does anybody from this time we'll go off the record?
Well, Jim, anything else you need?
No, we're good. We move for the admission and exhibits and so forth.
All right.
We're done.
We'll accept them and the board will go to executive session.
Thank you.
Back on.
This time we'll go back on the record. Can I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Schneck,
Yes.
Dr. Van Wert,
Yes.
Sharon Wiles Young,
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. Yep.
You'll
Good
with the
luck.
decision. We appreciate your time.
Keep rolling.
What? Let me ask.
Go
I owe
ahead.
it to him to ask.
Okay.
So 1 minute. Is he the applicant on both of them?
What's that?
Oh, gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we're doing.
I made a lean on them a little. Yeah. Sorry, Jim, they're ready to roll.
We're gonna have a phone. Take that with you.
Myra, let me know when you're. No, you're good. So we're going back on the record as to item number 2729 Mount Airy Street. We had a brief recess to allow the applicant to deliberate very briefly on the question that had been asked by Mr. Schneck relating to the potential lot line adjustment. Anthony, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Counselor. After discussing with my client, we respectfully request to table tonight's matter if the board would be willing to grant that request. As I understand it, the record would remain open. If you could just identify for when the next hearing date is so we can determine whether or not any MPC extension is required.
Actually, in terms of the MPC, I think the hearing was open tonight. So I think you're perfectly good on that regard. So I don't think any extensions are necessary.
Okay.
So for the board's benefit, an applicant has the ability to request that the plan the application be tabled, which allows them to come back at a later hearing to present additional evidence. So is there any objection from the board in that regard?
No.
No objection.
No objection.
So, Dave, do you know, per council's request, do you know when this would be listed?
It would probably be listed for the July 23rd meeting.
You want to talk
Well,
about?
I shouldn't have said probably. I'd certainly list it for July 23rd.
There's no wiggle room to get it on any sooner.
Do we have anything any sooner?
There is a hearing on June 25th.
Oh, that's
I
packed.
don't know how long that may or may not go.
Yeah, that's a very full agenda at the moment.
That's only if you still require relief.
Anything about the rear yards? No. No, we'll make it. Make it happen. Yep.
If you could stick us on for June 25th, we'll be ready to
No,
proceed.
I think we're saying that we
We
cannot.
can't. It's not feasible.
That agenda's set.
Understood. If we could be placed on the next available agenda, then.
Yeah, so this matter will be listed on the July 23rd agenda. And please feel free to reach out to the zoning officer with regard to any additional questions. This matter will not be re-advertised, relisted. So we'll see everyone on July 23rd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
No, I know.
No, I know that.
Oh, in a good way?
Yeah. Oh, no, I know the pardons. So
Okay.
not recognized.
Next hearing is for 2966 Linden Street. Appeal of James Preston on behalf of RDD Apartments LLC for a variance to permit a 6-foot-high fence in a required front yard area where only a 4-foot fence is permitted. Zoning ordinance sections 131812, 1325.06, and all associated variances, special exceptions, and interpretations.
Oh, sorry, Pete.
Oh, sorry. These visuals keep distracting me. When was the property posted?
June 3rd.
All right. You can proceed with your testimony.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jim Preston, the attorney for the applicant. With me this evening is Dwayne Wagner, representative of the property owner. Briefly, what we have here is it's sort of an odd situation. This board has dealt with this before. This is a property whose front yard abuts the rear yard of another property. We'll get into that in some detail, but it creates an anomaly that we would like to deal with. Before I get into it, though, I do have a question for your zoning officer, just to kind of move this along, if I may.
Yes.
Section 13, 18, 17, do you have a copy of that with you? Here, I can give it to you right here. Not a trick question. I just want to know if in a rear yard, I can place a fence 6 foot high up against the property
Yes.
on a rear yard.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So what we're trying to do is to place a fence 6 foot high all the way at the outer limit of a front yard. The ordinance limits us to 4 feet, and we're trying to get to 6 feet. And you'll see why I asked that question in a moment. Let me do this. Let me hand up some exhibits to you, and we'll go through them sort of as we did in the prior hearing.
Again, you're marking these collectively applicants exhibit 1A, A1.
Thank you.
Okay, before we get started, the property at issue, currently occupied,
Yes.
how is it occupied?
There is a 61-unit, 4-story apartment building.
Okay, and how long has that apartment building been there approximately?
CO was given in November of 2024, so it's, I would say, relatively brand new. We acquired the property in 2021. It's the former Stefano site. The building's up on that photo there at the old restaurant.
Okay, you say we, so your company actually built the building.
Yes,
And in order to build that building, at some point you got zoning relief?
yes.
Was one of the items you needed relief for to put a fence around your trash containers?
Yeah, a dumpster enclosure, it was to put a dumpster enclosure in the front yard.
Front yard, all the way at the end of the front yard?
Yes,
Okay, and how high was that fence?
that is an 8-foot fence.
Okay, what I'm going to ask the board to do is just take judicial notice of a zoning decision dated July 23rd, 2021, which is the zoning hearing board decision that granted that application. I think there's some relevant information in there.
Is that in the packet or is that? That's fine. We'll take it. Yeah, I mean, the board, for the board's benefit, it's a prior decision, the board on the same property. It'll be included in the record. You're allowed to consider this and whatever was stated within it.
So let's take a look at the exhibits and try to explain what's happening here. Let's open up this package, number 1, where it says 1.1. First of all, you actually assembled these pictures, is that correct?
I did.
And you're familiar with them?
Yes.
They're true and accurate
Yes.
representations of what they purport to represent?
Yes, I took the photographs.
Okay, so let's take a look at 1.1. What am I looking at here?
This is a view to the southeast, an aerial view. It shows on the right-hand page, a part of the page, you see the convenience store gas station structure that's there. Then you see the trees we planted. That's new grass that was put in the parking lot. Then it leads to the building. So that building that there is the building we spoke of earlier.
So my back is towards Linden Street, is that correct?
Yes,
And Linden Street is technically the frontage of your building.
correct. The building runs parallel to Linden Street, but for the gas station in front of it.
And how did you come to be, how was it determined that you would have frontage on Linden Street? Are there driveways that run out to
Yeah,
Linden
there's
Street?
at the bottom, we'll see it on the next one a little easier, but there's 2 driveways. The main driveway is on the north end of the property that has 2-way access.
Mhm.
And there's a secondary driveway that was originally the driveway for the house that was there. That
Okay.
is, emergency
And
access right now.
those come on to Linden Street.
Yes,
And so it was determined that your property's frontage would be Linden Street,
yes,
even though the bulk of your property doesn't reach Linden Street.
correct.
It abuts the rear of this, what did you say that was, a service station?
Gas station and convenience store.
And that does have frontage on Linden Street.
Yes,
Okay. And you said there's trees between your use, and the service station.
yeah, they're newly planted as part of our landscaping plan. So they're on that grass strip there in the middle. There's some patches of straw where it needs to grow in yet.
Okay, and is that roughly proximate to the property line between? The two?
The property line is a few feet, if you can see the curb that's there at the back behind the dumpsters of the gas station.
Mhm.
The property line runs about parallel to the curb line, but a few feet into the grass. So it's
Okay.
not on the curb.
So if now I look at that tree line and I start at the left of the page and I go across the tree line, the right, I'm going uphill.
Mhm.
I eventually hit, looks like a white corral.
Yes,
Okay, what is that?
that is the dumpster enclosure that we received the variance for in 2021, I
And
believe.
that has an 8-foot high fence.
That has an 8-foot height fence.
And that's all the way up against the,
It's basically up against the property line, correct? Close
Okay.
to it.
let's turn the page. Let's go to 1.2. Now, what am I looking at here?
This is a view, the building is behind you, so this is a view looking at Linden Street at the top of the page, running parallel. And you see the 2 access points on either side of the gas station, the convenience store lot,
That's what gives you the frontage on Linden Street.
frontage on Linden Street, correct?
As we can see, there's a service station between you and the street.
Correct.
Take a look at 1.3.
1.3 gives you a little bit of a better view of our request for desire to put the privacy fence in. You have a view of their dumpsters, your grease trap. They have some outdoor sinks, a lot of storage in the back of, supplies and crates, milk crates, that sort of thing. It's a little unsightly.
We're not saying they're bad neighbors.
Not at all. They've been great to work with. We installed cameras on their property, and they've been excellent neighbors.
But that's sort of inherently a part of
It's
what you
it's
get at the back of a service station.
correct. It's part of the use.
Okay, very good. Let's keep going then. Let's go, what am I looking at here on number 2?
Number 2 is an aerial photograph of the site showing the location of the building. You have Jack's store there, the convenience store, gas station you see in front of us. To the right of that is the old 7-Eleven. It's a beer store, beer distributor now. To the right of that is Bank of America. 2 single-family houses along Butchtown Road. Butchtown Road is perpendicular to Linden Street. Then directly across Butchtown Road is another 36 units, I believe, that are planned to be built there. If you cross Linden Street, you have 1 or 2 residential houses across Butchtown Road. Then you've got a mix of a bank. I think the bank is closed now, but a Walgreens, daycare center. And then if you cross Makeda Road, which is the road in the middle to the bottom left, that's redeveloped. That's the old Best store, but that's been developed into a swimming school. There's a daycare next to it. Just off the page is Azar's Market. Across the street, there's another apartment building. That's that dark spot in the upper left. And then there's a little strip center. It's got a couple restaurants, some retail, insurance. And then immediately to the left of our property is that white rectangle. And that's another strip center. It's a pizza shop, a bakery, laundry mat, that sort of thing.
So what I'm taking away from this, that's of relevance, I believe, is that but for the two driveway access out onto Linden Street, your property is essentially landlocked.
Yes,
Is that correct?
correct.
Okay, but under the ordinance, it must have a rear yard, front yard, and two side yards.
That's correct.
So it was found that the front yard would be the area that faces Linden Street,
Correct.
even though it doesn't abut Linden Street.
That's correct.
Okay, let's go. Let's get to the meat of this thing. Number 3. You're proposing a privacy fence, is that correct?
Yes,
How high would the privacy fence be?
6 feet.
Okay, now, on this, I see a red line on number 3.
Mhm.
Tell us what's going on there.
So the red line is the proposed privacy fence location. So it would connect at the corral and then run along the property line. The property line is indicated by the blue dash line, which it's sort of it's right next to the red, but outside of the red, you can see it. So it would run to the north along the property line and then turn towards Linden Street with the goal of providing a visual shield to the rear operations and the
So what we saw
dumpsters.
on the prior exhibit.
Yes, the
You wouldn't
dumpsters,
be able to
grease
see
trap.
that from the parking lot.
Right.
Someone walking at ground level on your site wouldn't have to look at the back of that building.
That's correct.
Is that the purpose? Now, this is interesting. You said the blue dotted line, that's the property boundary?
Yeah.
So the fence is going to go right along the property boundary.
Yes,
So the blue dotted line is the first extreme of that service station's rear yard. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay. So that being the very extreme of their rear yard, we heard the zoning officer tell us you can have a 6-foot fence anywhere in the rear yard.
Mhm.
That you could actually have a 6-foot fence within a few inches of where you're proposing it. Think about the question. So I could have a 6-foot fence.
Mhm.
I can't put it on your red line
Mhm.
because that's in your front yard,
Right.
but I could put it, is that north?
West.
West. I could put it 6 inches west.
That's correct.
The same fence,
The same fence.
exact same fence.
Exact same fence.
Okay, very good. Now let's keep going. Number 4, what is number 4?
Number 4 is a typical photo of what the proposed fence would look like. It's a solid PVC white fence. It would match the corral that's existing there. It just would be 6 feet, not 8. And it's really to provide a nice visual barrier, some curb appeal, improve the aesthetics of the people driving in and parking. As you saw in the exhibit, you're pulling in head first. Right now, they're looking at the back of the gas station. So now they'd be looking at the fence, which will also highlight the landscaping we put in. The fence would also help to minimize any trash or debris blowing off of the gas station onto our property because that's the way the winds blow. And then also help block a little bit of the noise because the dumpsters are right near our property. So dumpsters are coming, getting loaded, unloaded on a weekly basis. And it provides a little physical barrier. Not that it's necessary. It's more of a visual barrier. It's more about the aesthetics and just keeping it clean. And as a wise man once told me, good fences make great neighbors. So just, we've got a great relationship with them. And I think the fence would go to help preserve that. And
Okay, would you consider this your frontage situation without being up against the right of way? Would you consider that to be a unique circumstance? Unique
yes,
physical circumstance?
a unique physical circumstance to this property.
Right,
Yes.
and in fact, you're familiar with the prior zoning hearing board decision,
Yes.
and that's what they found.
Yes.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not if the zoning hearing board would grant the relief, that there would be any detrimental impact on the neighborhood?
I don't think there'd be any. I think it would enhance it. And we've talked to the neighbors and there's no issue with it.
Yeah, and is it the minimum variance that would afford relief? I say, given the distance of the average eyeball from the ground.
It is.
Think-
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
4-foot fence, most people will be able to see over, is that right?
correct. Yeah. This will be a little from standing on the parking lot. You're probably the top of the fence would be a little bit higher just because of the natural grade and being up 6 inches on the curb. It's going to be at least 6'6". So I think it would provide the visual barrier with somebody parking, walking in and out of the building. It just would beautify the property.
And but for the fact that you don't own the adjoining property, this fence could be put pretty much where you want to put it.
Yes,
at least within a few inches of that.
correct.
Very good. I have nothing further.
Open it up. Any questions?
I have no questions.
I do. I mean, there's planning and then there's good planning. And I think one of the reasons that the 4-foot barrier is there is not for the benefit of the people who live inside the house. It's for the benefit of the people out on the street feeling secure. And so this shot that we're looking at right now is, to me, kind of the most relevant thing in considering whether or not to do this. You have the right to put up a 4-foot fence. That's a given. And my feeling would be that, you've already invested in the trees for that place. The trees would perform a much better security and visual barrier, not security, a visual barrier for your residents than a 6-foot fence would for the rest of the community looking in on that, because it would not only highlight those dumpsters that are behind the vape shop, but it feels to me a much more of a barrier to the community feeling like this is part of the community. It feels like it's kind of other than saying, I mean, this is an odd situation. Obviously, it's a big apartment building set off of a busy street, and so it's not really a front yard. It's really what is the best thing for the community in terms of the experience of your apartment building. And so my only question for you would be, would you ever consider, I mean, I know it's a lot cheaper to put in a 6-foot PVC fence, but would you ever consider instead enhancing the trees that are there? Because in another 2 years, those thujas, they grow so fast.
What, I'll wait till you're finished. Sorry.
No, I'm pretty much done. I think you
Yeah.
get my point. It's like,
I
I
do,
just think
and-
that a trees would be a much more community welcoming experience than a 6-foot tall PVC fence.
And I understand it, and I agree. And we did work with our landscape designer as well as the city forester and the planning department. We made some revisions to the plantings there because when we looked at what was on the plan, we actually had to spread the trees out a little bit
Mhm.
because they're spread out now, but it'll take a few years for them to fill in. But until that happens, to your point on the experience, the experience for the residents of the apartment building, that's why we feel the fence is important now, because it's really, we've gotten comments about that. It's like, what are you doing about that? 'Cause it almost looks like the rest of the properties you drive in is very well manicured, well maintained, landscaped pretty heavily. And that's one of the things they say when they getting in and out of their cars. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing about that? So it does come up, but to your point on the trees, that area on the aerial that you see was exhibit is at 1.1. You can see the trees that are in there.
Yeah.
And those are planted as close as our landscape designer installer, not just the architect, the designer, and he's worked in the area for 30 years, recommended we plant those. He suggests not putting more than those in because they will get tall over time. And we also reviewed that with the city forester and the planning department to make sure everybody was on board with not planting them too close, because what happens is they'll end up choking each other out.
Right.
And then you kind of have it. I don't know if you've been over to the property, but on the left or the right side of the page, you see some large green trees. Those are on an adjacent property owners, but you can see how they really grew together, and underneath it's destroyed. The vegetation is destroyed because the tops are what's growing. So
Probably your current residents and possible future residents are just too impatient to wait for them to grow in. So we need a now solution instead of a.
it's not only that. It's also like I said, it defines the back. I mean, it's really not a nice looking. And again, they're great neighbors. They run a great business. They keep the place clean, but it's the things that go with that function of the back of house of a gas station convenience store. And that's just what we're trying to.
These will grow in and provide that dense barrier.
They
visual
will,
barrier.
but it wouldn't be. It's never going to be 100%. But you're correct. They're going to get taller. They're going to get wider. But like the deciduous trees that are there, they're not going to provide that low, under 6 foot type of canopy coverage that the top will. And then as the green giants and those things grow in, they'll get large and they'll get really full. But it's not going to provide a nice clean screen.
Okay.
Can we go back to the picture that had the picture from Linden Street? Look again. just a gas station looking in. Okay, I'm sorry, come back out a little bit. Yeah. You were right the first time. Just spin it around.
Oh, the one that
Yeah, so
Dr.
right there.
Dr.
So we're
Van,
talk.
oh,
no,
sorry.
Go back to where you were.
Yep. Sorry.
There.
Yeah.
So the point was made that actually the fences are more for the benefit of the people outside the property looking in, which is where I am now. I'm outside the property, I'm looking in. And what I see the buildings in the back and I see that nice little service station there. What I don't see is what's on page 1.2. If you look at exhibit 1.2, this is what they're looking at. They're not seeing that service station. They're seeing, what are these guys here? What are they?
That's milk crates and like empty storage containers for supplies.
Yeah, and what am I looking at in there?
And to the left of that's like some gas cans or outdoor storage containers. And then to the right, you've got some bags and more storage. And then there's an abandoned sink or something. And then there's a grease trap or a grease storage container. And then on the far right of the dumpsters,
And none of that's visible from the street.
just the dumpsters. None of the stuff behind the building is,
But that's all perfectly intimately visible from your parking lot.
100%. Yes.
Very good. Okay.
But I think you probably understand the point that I'm making is that one of the reasons we're up here is not to consider the viewpoint necessarily of your tenants, but to consider the urban streetscape experience of the citizens of Bethlehem, right?
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
We're
so
here
I'm
for
just trying to bring that point of view
Okay,
forward
thank you.
about that experience.
And we have I understand, but it's sort of a pretty densely developed, and there's also a cell tower. If you rotate to the right, the other way, I mean, there's a 60-foot cell tower. So I think you see that. I understand your point, Dr. Van Wert. But I think the benefit of it outweighs that small section there. But I understand your point.
You've seen those nice berms that a lot of the traditions and stuff, when they have a busy highway, they build this berm and they very densely plant it so that those trees grow up as a screen itself. And I know that's probably unrealistic because it's pretty expensive to do, but I was just introducing the idea that perhaps a living green screen would.
Yeah,
the
and
best
to your point on
solution for
the
both.
comment on the cost, the fence actually costs more, but it's an important enough adjustment for us to make there to provide what we need for the residents here. If we could just throw a bunch of trees in there, that would actually be the least costly solution. But in the long run, it wouldn't serve the function because they're going to just grow into each other and choke each other out. So that's why they're spaced the way they are, and that is the spacing that, like I said, we tried to take into consideration. We weren't taking any shortcuts on it. I mean, we're happy with the building. We think it turned out pretty nice, and we weren't going to go cheap on the landscaping just to save a few dollars. But
Thank
I
you.
do understand your question
Thank you.
and concern.
That's all my question.
I'll just piggyback on her a little bit, just while we're discussing it. Your red line actually hooks up and goes towards the Linden Street. Is there, what is the purpose of that?
That brings the fence around to the parking. Let's see. Hold on, where did I put it? There it is.
This one?
Yep. It just takes it. If you look in the lower right corner, there's a few parking spaces. They're not striped on this photo yet, but if you go to exhibit 1.2,
Yep.
you'll see there's 4 parking spaces there. So what we're doing is just continuing that fence around that corner. And also what that does is it brings it just past the dumpsters, which again helps to contain any debris coming out of the dumpsters. Because we get debris on the property, we clean it up, we pick it up, but it's not because the neighbors run a dirty facility. It's the nature of the beast of having a gas station convenience store. So it would also stop some of that, but it provides that same barrier as you're parking, the visual separation. And that's why it makes that turn, because it goes up to the point of those parking spaces.
And I was just saying that because, as Dr. Van Wert was pointing out, some of the consideration here is the community and their viewpoints.
And that would run perpendicular at that point to Linden Street. So if you're looking at it from Linden, if you're looking at it.
Yeah, it just blocks off some of the main entry. But also, Attorney Preston, I totally understand if you would approach your neighbor and say, hey, we'll pay you to put in this fence. They would be permitted to do so. Is that accurate?
If I asked them to put the fence in?
Yeah, they would be, because that's in their rear yard.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Legally.
per zoning, it would be permissible.
Oh,
That's-
yes.
That was the point you were making.
The point I'm making is, yes, within a few inches of this, by law, can be the thing that we're trying to put a few inches away.
But your point is, under zoning, you can't consider whether your neighbor could build something there. You're stuck to build the property you have.
Yes, yep.
That, in this picture that's up, all that chain link is coming down, right?
That's gone. Yeah, that's already
Okay.
gone. And it's, if you take a look, the photo 1.2, 1.1, those were just taken last week. So that's an old Google Maps view. But you can see there's a sign, we got a permit to put a monument sign in that was just installed last week. That's out at the corner out towards Linden. All that tan area there is straw that's down as the right here, 1.2. Yeah, so that fence is all gone. So there's no obstruction to get in or out of the facility. It's not fenced in any way. We did maintain the fence at the back of the property near the condo association, and we worked out with them, and our landscaper ended up actually working for the condo association, so it worked out very well. We have good relationships with all the neighbors.
I think I misunderstood your question about where the fence can be. I think the point is that if a 6-foot fence, where we're proposing it, is somehow detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare, why would not a 6-foot fence 2 inches away be detrimental? That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, and we get that, Jim. I was just
Oh,
piggybacking
I'm
on,
sorry.
to the extent Pete was saying, hey, go to the neighbor, ask the neighbor to build the fence for you.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is we get your point that
Okay,
as to the evidence goes to that.
And we did run through that process, right? But the challenge there is, the fence is on their property. Now you need an easement agreement. If they sell their property, how does it work? It's just, and it's right there. It's only a few inches away from that. So that's why, and no different than we installed our own lights at the sign, because their parking lot lights provide ambient light that lights up the sign. But if they turn their lights off, we can't make them keep them on. So we'd rather just be in control of it, and for maintenance and all that sort of thing, just to.
And I wasn't suggesting you do that. I was just making a point that that's what you were trying to explain.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pete. I just wanted to make clear. Yeah, we're on the same page there, Jim. We know what you're saying. I think the zoning officer's
It's-
question.
I just have one question. In the event that you are granted the relief, you're asking for relief for the fence as depicted on Exhibit 3. And I'm asking that because it hooks perpendicular to the road and heads out that way. So
Yeah, correct. So what I'm showing here, just so we're all on the same, 'cause I appreciate the question. So on the left-hand side, the red would basically,
Which exhibit are you on?
I'm in Exhibit 3. There's a red line that starts at the dumpster corral.
Yep.
And that would connect there or be almost connected to it. So it would basically start there, come up a little bit, then run along the property line, and then it would turn to the west up to that point, to the edge of the sidewalk that's shown there. And so it would be sort of an L shape, an awkward L shape.
right, just so, if the relief's given.
And question for the zoning officer. Would that hook be considered a side yard?
It would be considered a side yard, and if the garage, if the,
So that is permitted to be 6 feet, that
it
portion?
would be permitted to be 6 feet up to
The other
even
part.
with the front wall of Jack's.
And then I'm also, another question for you. Now that I'm looking at these pictures, it looks like there's a slight slope there.
Slope. So when you're standing at the parking lot, I think it's probably like 1 foot. It's not like an embankment you're going up to get to the gas
It's a
station.
bit, but it'll bite into your 6 feet. So it might only act like a 4-foot fence potentially.
It actually goes the other way. So when you're standing at the parking and you're standing in the parking lot, if you're looking at 1.2, the parking lot is about a foot or so lower than the parking lot of the apartment building is about a foot or so lower than the parking lot of the gas station.
The two
So,
paved areas.
so when it goes up a
Okay.
little, it actually be up a little bit. And so from the street, it would look like may look like a 5-foot fence, if that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
From
Like,
from Linden
from
Street.
this side, it's actually
Yeah,
looks
from
lower.
outside, it'll actually appear to be a little bit lower than 6 feet. We're getting our directions good. I'm following.
All right. Sorry to maybe overcomplicate things, but anybody else with any questions? It's
I have
time.
nothing further.
Yeah, we'll accept the exhibits as offered and.
Yep.
yeah.
We'll move off the record.
Back on the record.
All right. I have a motion.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Schneck,
Yes.
Dr. Van Wert,
Yes.
Ms. Wiles Young.
Yes.
Motion carries
Thank you.
unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Opposed?
adjourn?
Should we do no?
I can't do it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Carries unanimously.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
All right.
Be well.
Thanks.
Thank you.